Husein is inspired by stories of triumph when faced with challenges despite limitations. This talk will be the big mark that he hopes to leave at the Rutgers campus. So let's put our hands together for Husein Jauhari.
While walking to the stage, I was shaking, panicking, and afraid. I kept telling myself, all you have to do is get on the stage and say, I am wearing a kurta pajama. It'll be fine. I'll be fine. But once I got the mic, I froze. All I had to do was say, I am wearing a kurta pajama, but the words were caught in my throat. I was stuck in a Chinese finger trap. The more I tried to say them, the harder it was to get them out. 6 words and I couldn't do it because I have a stutter. I hung my head in shame and passed on the mic. That was in middle school for our annual Culture Day event. It was the first risk I ever took and I failed. On the bus later that day, I was mocked for my performance, and while tears were streaming down my face, all I thought was, why am I the only one going through this? But this wasn't the first time I felt alone. When I was 6, my father would take me to a speech therapist in Mumbai. I used to walk up those steps to get to her office and would feel a heavy burden on my shoulders because I felt like my parents' disabled child. I wondered, what's wrong with me? Why am I like this? I felt useless because I couldn't do the one simple thing that everyone else could, which was to speak. In 10th grade, I had a research project and I had to present my findings at the end of it. And well, I didn't invite my parents to this presentation because I was afraid. Afraid they would see me stutter, afraid they would be disappointed, and afraid it would be too risky. I would look around the crowded room, hundreds of people socializing, having fun, but I felt different, out of place, and completely alone. Right up until high school, I never met anyone with a stutter. But that was until I met someone like me. And when I first noticed him stutter, I felt relieved. The burden that I carried up the steps to my speech therapist's office was lifted. I remember in the early days of our friendship, he used to talk to anyone. And even when he did stutter, he shrugged it off like it was no big deal. And I needed that confidence. I needed to be more nonchalant, and I needed to stop caring of what others thought. I realized that if I took small risks like he did, if I spoke to more people without thinking about the burden that is my stutter, I knew I would be all right. I knew that in order to grow, I had to be more comfortable living outside of my comfort zone. And that's why I started working at the call center here at Rutgers last year. During my first ever training, my supervisor put me on the phone with an actual person and I started panicking again. All I thought was, if they find out I have a stutter, they're going to fire me. What if they fire me? For most people, it's an easy job. But I want to be an entrepreneur, and if I can't even succeed in a call center, how will I ever run a business? This anxiety buildup can only lead to one thing: stuttering. So as my legs were shaking, palms sweating, heart racing, I took a deep breath, held back the anxiety, and told myself, you can do this. You've already spoken to so many strangers before, one more won't hurt, and you know what? It didn't. The risk was worth it. Now you might be sitting here thinking, what risk? I urge you to think about what scares you the most, and I'm willing to bet that it will be different for each and every one of you because risk, like beauty, is in the eye of the beholder. Speaking to a person without stuttering or getting nervous is what I push myself to do every single day because having a stutter feels like you're in a boxing match between you and your ego. Speaking is like trying to land the uppercut, but you keep getting hit, and hit after hit, you get more and more demoralized, and eventually you'll never pick yourself up again because you're afraid of the knockout. Last semester, I thought, what would be the scariest thing I could possibly do? This is it. get nervous talking to 1 or 2 people. But here I am, talking to 500 people, all eyes on me, carrying the burden that is my stutter. So don't bury your fears and failures. Instead, let them inspire you. So now I ask you, what risks are you going to take? Because I'm here, hands still shaking, but confidently able to say that I am wearing a kurta pajama.